Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. New York, in the middle of summer. The stifling heat only heightened the tension in the bustling streets of Manhattan. Inside a luxury jewelry store, Emma Whitman, a white woman in her 50s, stared intently from behind her counter. Her cold eyes fell upon a black customer who had just walked through the door. "You dirty black woman, you're a thief!" Emma yelled, her voice echoing throughout the store. Shocked and humiliated, the woman took a step back, her hands raised to show she hadn't taken anything. Customers turned, some horrified, others unable to believe what they were hearing. But what Emma didn't know was that this black woman wasn't just a customer. Her name was Olivia Carter, a renowned lawyer and social justice activist, the only daughter of one of New York State's most influential judges. She had actually come to file an urgent complaint about a fraud case that directly involved Emma's store. Emma's gaze hardened, convinced she was simply upholding the law and protecting her shop. But every word she uttered sealed her own downfall. For behind Olivia lurked a network of influence and power capable of turning the tables on anyone who dared to dishonor her. At that precise moment, no one yet knew that this impulsive act of racism would change everything: reputation, career, and financial security. One single mistake, and Emma would lose it all. New York, morning. Olivia Carter entered Whitman and Company, a jewelry store renowned for its rare jewelry and luxury watches. She had only one goal: to file an urgent complaint about fraud committed by one of the store's suppliers. Emma Whitman, the owner, watched her from behind the counter, a disdainful smile on her lips. The moment Olivia stepped into the store, something about her appearance triggered Emma's prejudices. Without thinking, she blurted out, "You dirty black woman, you're a thief." Time seemed to stand still. Olivia recoiled in shock. The other customers stared at the scene, some shocked, others in disbelief. Olivia tried to speak. I'm here to file an official complaint. I didn't steal anything." But Emma wouldn't listen. She called security, convinced she was protecting her business. The humiliation was public, brutal, and unfair. Olivia felt anger rising, but instead of reacting impulsively, she remained calm. Behind this apparent calm lay a strategy. Olivia knew exactly how to turn the situation around. She knew her rights, knew the network of justice and influence she had been navigating for years. And above all, she knew that Emma had just made a mistake that would cost her dearly. As Emma continued her accusations, Olivia took out her phone, calling someone who would turn this humiliation into a memorable lesson for the racist landlord. The prologue to their confrontation had barely begun. A few minutes after the humiliation, Olivia Carter calmly left the jewelry store, her phone in hand. She hadn't reacted violently, but precisely. Her first call was to her father, Judge William Carter, a man respected throughout New York State. "Dad, I need your help. Emma Whitman has just falsely accused me of stealing from her shop," she said in a calm but firm voice. Moments later, Emma Whitman felt the first tremors of her fall. Olivia had already begun mobilizing her network. A formal lawsuit for defamation and racist behavior was filed, and the news began to circulate discreetly among influential circles in Manhattan. Social media did the rest. A video of the incident, filmed by a witness, began circulating, showing Emma shouting her absurd accusations. Comments and shares multiplied, and the jewelry store's reputation began to falter. Emma, initially proud and convinced she had done the right thing, began to feel anxiety creeping in. She tried to contact Olivia to fix the situation, but Olivia remained unreachable, true to her strategy: let the system and influence do the talking. Judge William Carter, for his part, took note of the incident. He knew it wasn't just a matter of humiliation, it was a case that would affect the public perception of racial injustice in Manhattan. Emma had just made a monumental mistake. As Olivia prepared what to do next, Emma slowly realized she was no longer in control. Every move she made now risked making things worse. And she had no idea what was about to happen next. 2 days after the incident, Emma Whitman began to feel the full extent of the disaster. The video of her racist accusation had gone viral on social media, accompanied by outraged comments and public condemnations. Regular customers had cancelled their appointments, and some suppliers were now refusing to work with her jewelry store. Stress levels rose when the police and the local prosecutor contacted Emma. A complaint for defamation and racial harassment had been filed by Olivia, and an official investigation was underway. Every phone call, every visit from an officer served as a stark reminder: her impulsive act was not without consequences. Emma tried to defend herself to the local media, but her apologies rang hollow. "I reacted in shock. I thought I was protecting my store," she said, but the public wouldn't listen. The newspapers were already running headlines. "Racist landlord humiliated after unjust accusation by a black lawyer." Meanwhile, Olivia remained calm. She knew exactly how to play the situation: let Emma wallow in her own mistakes and then use the law to hold her accountable. Olivia had also contacted civil rights organizations, which amplified the case, placing Emma at the center of a public scandal. Stress, shame, and fear were beginning to eat away at Emma. Her reputation was crumbling, her business was losing customers, and she was finally realizing that her racist behavior was going to cost her much more than she had imagined. It was no longer just a personal humiliation, it was the beginning of a public downfall from which she wouldn't easily recover. Olivia, meanwhile, was already plotting the final blow that would seal Emma's fate. A week after the incident, Emma Whitman faced a court of public and legal scrutiny. Olivia Carter's defamation and racial harassment lawsuit had been transferred to an impartial judge, but the intense public attention made the case explosive. Cameras were rolling, reporters were on high alert, and every word Emma spoke would be analyzed. On the day of the trial, Olivia entered the courtroom with quiet confidence. Her lawyer presented the evidence: videos, testimonies from clients and employees, and internal messages proving that Emma's accusation was unfounded. Each piece of evidence demonstrated that Emma's behavior was not a simple isolated incident, but a clear and unjustified act of racism. Emma, sitting in the dock, felt her world crumble. Her attempts at apology seemed ludicrous in the face of mounting evidence and public outrage. Her employees had left the store, suppliers were breaking contracts, and customers had deserted en masse. Her business was practically doomed even before the verdict. The judge finally handed down the sentence: substantial damages to be paid to Olivia, a public apology, and the temporary suspension of Emma's business license. Leaving the courthouse, Emma realized she had lost everything: her reputation, her clients, and her respect. Olivia, on the other hand, remained majestic and calm. She had never sought to humiliate Emma personally, but rather to obtain justice and accountability for a racist and unjust act. In the days that followed, the media continued to cover the case. Emma became a public example of the consequences of racism and arrogance, while Olivia reinforced her reputation as an honest and determined lawyer. What began as an impulsive accusation in a jewelry store ended in a complete reversal. Emma had lost everything for an act she believed to be insignificant, and Olivia had triumphed through the force of law and her relentless strategy.